Some stories are hidden not by accident, but by design. Some names are whispered only in the corridors of power, their deeds erased from the pages of history, their courage too dangerous to remember. Tonight, we open a file that was never meant to be found, a story of music, mystery, and sacrifice set in the darkest days of war. Welcome to the Forgotten File. London, autumn, 1943. The city is a maze of secrets. Blackout curtains shroud the windows, and the air is thick with the scent of coal smoke and fear. In the heart of this shadowed world, a young woman walks alone through the rain, her footsteps echoing on the cobblestones. Her name is Noor Inayat Khan. Noor is not what she seems. To her neighbors, she is quiet, gentle, a writer of children's stories, a musician who plays the harp and the veena. But beneath her calm exterior, Noor carries a secret that could change the course of the war. She is a wireless operator for the Special Operations Executive, the SOE, Britain's secret army, tasked with sabotaging the Nazi war machine from within. Noor's story begins far from London, in the gardens of a palace in Moscow, where her father, Hazrat Inayat Khan, taught Sufi music and poetry to the children of the Russian elite. Noor was born into a world of beauty and exile, her family fleeing revolution after revolution, always searching for a place to belong. They settled in France, where Noor grew up surrounded by music, stories, and the gentle teachings of her father's faith, that all life is sacred, that violence is a last resort, that truth is the highest calling. But war has a way of shattering even the most peaceful lives. When the Nazis invaded France, Noor and her family escaped to England, leaving behind everything they knew. Noor could have stayed safe, writing stories, playing music. But she chose a different path. At SOE headquarters, Noor is an anomaly. She is small, soft-spoken, her accent marked by years in Paris. Some of her trainers doubt she is suited for the work. She is too gentle, they say, too honest, too unwilling to lie. But Noor is determined. She passes the tests, learns the codes, endures the grueling training. She is given the code name Madeline. In June 1943, Noor is flown by moonlight into occupied France. She lands in a field outside Angers, her parachute billowing in the night. The resistance is waiting. Noor is the first female wireless operator sent into France, a job so dangerous that the average life expectancy is 6 weeks. Paris is a city under occupation, its beauty scarred by fear. German soldiers patrol the boulevards, Gestapo agents haunt the cafes, and the resistance moves in silence, always one step ahead of betrayal. Noor finds shelter in a small attic above a bakery, her radio hidden beneath the floorboards. Each night, she taps out messages to London, her fingers trembling as she listens for the telltale crackle of German direction finders. Noor's world is one of constant danger. She changes her appearance, her name, her story. She meets with resistance leaders in the shadows, delivers messages, arranges drops of weapons and supplies. She is always moving, always watching, always afraid. But Noor is not alone. She finds allies in the most unlikely places, a baker who slips her bread and news, a schoolteacher who passes coded notes, a young boy who acts as her lookout. She writes letters to her mother, never sent, filled with longing for home, for peace, for the music she left behind. One evening, as Noor transmits a message to London, she hears a strange click on the line, a sign that the Germans are listening. She packs her radio, slips out into the night, and disappears into the labyrinth of Paris. The next day, the safe house is raided. Noor is gone. The resistance is in chaos. One by one, the network is betrayed. Names are whispered under torture, addresses given up. Noor moves from house to house, never staying in one place for more than a night. She is hunted, her face on wanted posters, her name spoken with fear and admiration. But there is something else, a shadow moving through the city, watching Noor's every step. A double agent, working for the Gestapo, has infiltrated the resistance. Noor senses the danger, but she cannot leave. Too many lives depend on her messages, her courage, her silence. Late one night, Noor finds a note slipped under her door. The handwriting is familiar, but the message is chilling. They know. Run. Noor hesitates. She could escape, vanish into the countryside, save herself. But she stays. She has one last message to send, one last hope for the resistance. As she taps out the code, her hand steady despite the fear, Noor knows she may not survive the night. But she also knows that some stories are worth the risk, that some truths must be told, even if no one remembers the name of the one who told them. If you're ready to uncover the secret that cost Noor everything, stay with us for the next part of this forgotten file. Noor Inayat Khan moves through the occupied city like a ghost, her every step a careful calculation. She has become a master of disguise, her gentle features hidden beneath scarves and hats, her eyes always scanning for the glint of a Gestapo badge or the shadow of a tail. The resistance network is unraveling. Arrests come daily. Friends vanish without a trace. Each coded message Noor sends to London is a lifeline, a desperate plea for help, a warning that the walls are closing in. She is alone, more alone than she has ever been. The other wireless operators have been captured or killed. The SOE urges her to return to England, to save herself before it's too late. But Noor refuses. She knows that if she leaves, the last link between London and the Paris resistance will be severed. She cannot abandon those who still fight, who still hope. Noor's days are spent in constant motion. She changes safe houses, never sleeping in the same bed twice. She meets with resistance leaders in the back rooms of cafes, her messages hidden in the seams of her coat. She listens for the coded knock at the door, the signal that it is safe to enter. Every face is a potential enemy. Every word could be a trap. One evening, as she waits in a dimly lit apartment, Noor hears footsteps on the stairs. Her heart pounds. She reaches for her radio, ready to destroy it if necessary. The door creaks open. It is Emile, a resistance courier, his face pale with fear. "They have arrested Marcel," he whispers. "He talked. They know about the safe house on Rue Erlanger. You must leave, now." Noor gathers her things, her hand steady despite the terror. She slips out the back door, disappearing into the night. She knows she is running out of places to hide. The next day, Noor receives a message from London. The code is urgent, the words clear, network compromised. Evaluate immediately. But Noor cannot bring herself to leave. She has learned of a planned roundup of resistance members, dozens of names, all marked for arrest. If she can get a warning to them, she might save lives. Noor arranges a meeting with a trusted contact, a schoolteacher named Madame Fournier. They meet in the shadow of Notre Dame, the bells tolling overhead. Noor passes her a list of names, a warning to be delivered at great personal risk. Madame Fournier nods, her eyes shining with gratitude and fear. As Noor turns to leave, she feels a hand on her arm. She looks up into the face of a man she recognizes, a resistance fighter named Jacques, but something in his eyes is wrong. Cold. Calculating. "Noor," he says softly, "come with me. There is someone who wishes to speak with you." Noor hesitates, but she cannot refuse. She follows Jacques through the winding streets, her mind racing. They enter a nondescript building, climb a narrow staircase. At the top, Jacques opens a door and gestures for her to enter. Inside, a man sits at a desk, his uniform unmistakable. Gestapo. Noor's blood runs cold. "Thank you, Jacques," the officer says. "You may go." Jacques leaves, the door closing softly behind him. Noor stands tall, her heart pounding, but her face betrays nothing. The officer smiles. "Mademoiselle Khan. Or should I say, Madeline." Noor says nothing. She knows the rules. Say nothing. Admit nothing. Endure. The Gestapo interrogate her for hours, days. They threaten, cajole, offer her freedom in exchange for names. Noor refuses. She gives them nothing. She endures solitary confinement, chained hand and foot, her only comfort the memory of her father's teachings, the music of her childhood echoing in her mind. But the Gestapo are relentless. They search her belongings, her radio, her coded messages. They find a notebook, its pages filled with strange symbols. Noor knows what they are, her final message to London, a warning of the betrayal that has destroyed the network. The officer leans close, his voice a whisper. "You are very brave, mademoiselle. But you are alone. No one is coming for you." Noor closes her eyes, summoning the strength to endure. She thinks of her mother, her brother, the children's stories she once wrote. She thinks of the resistance fighters still free, the lives she might have saved. In the darkness of her cell, Noor begins to sing, a Sufi prayer, soft and haunting. The guards listen, unsettled by the sound. Even in captivity, Noor's spirit cannot be broken. But the betrayal runs deeper than she knows. The Gestapo have intercepted her final message to London. They use her codes to send false information, leading to the capture of more resistance members. Noor realizes, with a sickening certainty, that her silence is not enough. The network is collapsing, and she is powerless to stop it. One night, a fellow prisoner, a young woman named Genevieve, whispers through the wall. "They say you are the bravest of us all. They say you have not broken." Noor smiles, though Genevieve cannot see it. "We must hold on. Even if they erase our names, the truth will survive." But the truth is fragile. The Gestapo prepare to move Noor to Germany, to a place from which no one returns. She is given one last chance to betray her comrades, to save herself. She refuses. As she is led away, Noor looks back at the city she loved, the city she tried to save. She knows she may never see it again. But she also knows that some stories are worth the sacrifice, even if no one remembers the name of the one who made it. If you are ready to see how Noor's courage was buried by history and why her name vanished from the records, stay with us for the final part of this forgotten file. Noor Inayat Khan is transported across the border, her wrists bound, her eyes unbowed. She is taken to Pforzheim prison in Germany, a place of silence and shadows, where the walls themselves seem to listen. Here, Noor is kept in solitary confinement, her name replaced by a number, her identity erased. The guards call her the dangerous prisoner, for she has tried to escape not once, but twice, each time refusing to give up hope. The days blur into weeks, the weeks into months. Noor is interrogated, beaten, starved. Yet she never breaks. She refuses to reveal her codes, her contacts, her mission. She endures, holding fast to the teachings of her father, the music of her childhood, the memory of the city she loved. In the darkness, she whispers prayers, her voice a thread of light in the endless night. Outside, the war rages on. The Allies advance, the Nazi grip on Europe begins to falter. But inside the prison, time stands still. Noor's fate is decided not by the turning tide of battle, but by the fear and cruelty of her captors. The Gestapo, desperate to cover their tracks, moved Noor and 3 other female agents, Yolanda Beekman, Madeline Damerment, and Elaine Pluman, to Dachau concentration camp. It is the early hours of September 13, 1944. The women are led into the woods, their hands tied behind their backs. Noor is the last. She stands tall, her eyes clear, her spirit unbroken. The guards raise their pistols. Noor's final word is a single, defiant cry, "Liberté." The shots ring out. The women fall. The guards bury their bodies in an unmarked grave, their names stricken from the records, their stories consigned to oblivion. In London, Noor's mother waits for news that never comes. The SOE files are sealed, her fate classified, her heroism hidden behind a wall of silence. Official reports list her as missing, presumed dead. Her medals are awarded in secret, her name whispered only among those who remember. But the truth cannot be buried forever. After the war, a handful of survivors, fellow prisoners, resistance fighters, even a repentant German officer, begin to speak. They tell of Noor's courage, her refusal to betray her comrades, her unbreakable spirit. Slowly, the story emerges, the story of a gentle woman who became a warrior, a writer who became a spy, a daughter of Sufi mystics who gave her life for freedom. Yet even as the truth comes to light, Noor's legacy is contested. Some in the British government fear the embarrassment of her capture, the exposure of a mole within the SOE who betrayed her. Files are lost, testimony suppressed, the full story left incomplete. Noor's name is left off official lists, her photograph missing from the walls of remembrance. For decades, her story is told only in whispers, in the memories of those who loved her, and the secret files of those who feared her. It is not until years later, when a journalist uncovers a cache of letters and coded messages, that Noor's name is finally spoken aloud. A memorial is raised in London, a plaque in Paris, a garden in her honor in India. But the question remains, why was her story forgotten? Was it because she was a woman, a Muslim, a pacifist in a world at war? Was it because her courage exposed the failures of those who sent her into danger, the betrayals that cost so many lives? Or was it simply that her story did not fit the narrative of victory and power that history prefers to tell? Tonight, we have opened the file that was never meant to be found. We have remembered Noor Inayat Khan, and through her, all the forgotten heroes who vanished into the shadows of war. If this story moved you, if you believe these voices deserve to be heard, share this video, subscribe to The Forgotten File, and help us bring the lost stories of history back into the light. Because some files should never be closed.